Hello and welcome back to another episode of Jonesing for Flavor. And today we have a Sambuca pasta recipe. And I actually came up with this because I got the idea from a little restaurant in Canmore. Forgive me for not remembering the name, but ever since then I've been obsessed with this pasta. It's so good. And so I know it's not the typical red meat that I do on this channel. I'm gonna switch it up this time. We're gonna do a chicken breast on top of this pasta, and you know what? You're gonna wanna stay tuned because it's so freaking good. Let's get started. To go with today's video, I'm actually gonna show you how to make an excellent chicken breast in the stainless steel frying pan. I don't recommend any coated non-stick pans as they are not meant to be used for high heat. When it comes time to cook, I'll put in a few tablespoons of olive oil and bring the oil temperature up to the point of when it just starts to smoke, about medium-high heat. But before we cook, I'm going to flatten these chicken breasts as it helps to cook the chicken more evenly. And for that, I'll need 2 sheets of cling wrap to put under and above the chicken. If you have a meat tenderizer, you would use the flat portion of the hammer to pound on the chicken. But since I don't have one, I'll use a rolling pin. And now is when I would insert a lame joke about beating my meat. When you beat it, try to pound down and away, as just pounding down could damage the chicken breast. You can now remove the cling wrap as we will no longer be needing it. Once you're satisfied with the thickness, mine is about 1 inch thick, remove off to the side, preferably into the fridge, as raw chicken should not be left out on the counter for too long. Next, we're going to cook some bacon in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes at a temperature of 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Putting it on a rack produces a crispier bacon. 25 minutes later and my bacon is ready to be cut into tiny little bits. I'll move the sheet off to the side and transfer the bacon to a cutting board. Now, if you don't have a rack to cook your bacon on, you can use just the baking sheet and flip the bacon halfway through cooking. I suggest cooking it on parchment paper as it makes for easy cleanup later. You can chop the bacon to any size you want, however, smaller is better in my opinion. No white sauce is complete without a little bit of garlic, but in my case, a lot of garlic. I'm a big fan of garlic, so believe me when I say I will find an excuse to add more. If you're not that big into garlic, then maybe use 1 or 2 cloves. I'll remove the ends and I'll begin to dice it into very tiny pieces. Once I'm satisfied, I will now remove them off to the side for now. Fresh herbs is always the better way of infusing some great flavor into a pasta dish, and today I'll be using a few leaves of fresh oregano. When using fresh leaves, you never want to crush it, as the essential oils will come out of the leaves and some of the flavor will be lost onto the cutting board. The proper technique to cut these leaves is to chiffonade them, which means rolling them together and doing a rolling cut motion. Once that's done, we'll set them off to the side for now. The type of pasta you select is important, and here I have a textured fusilli, and that texture will actually help our sauce bind to the noodle a lot better than one without texture. Now I'll go over our liquor we'll be cooking with today. Sambuca is a black licorice tasting liquor. I can't stand a strong taste of black licorice, but I like it in moderation, and in this sauce it delivers a nice mild taste that complements the cream. All you'll need is a shot, any more would be too much. And now back to our chicken. I'll take it out of the fridge, let it sit out for 20 minutes, and I'll season it with salt and pepper. Remember to season both sides. And now it's time to get our pan nice and hot so we can sear our chicken. When searing your chicken, use a medium-high heat in a pan that can withstand that heat, either a cast iron or a stainless steel pan. Having a splatter guard is a great idea too.
When laying down the chicken, make sure that you lay away from yourself as not to splatter the hot oil onto you. You should make sure your chicken has good contact with the pan by pressing down on it. I'll let these sit for about 5 to 6 minutes on one side before I flip them. As you can see, we have an absolutely beautiful crust on one side, and now we'll flip them over to get a beautiful crust on the other side. Now I'll repeat the process, cook these chicken breasts for about another 5 to 6 minutes or up until I reach an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And within the last 2 minutes of cooking, I'm going to insert a probe and track my progress. Once they hit an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit, I will remove the chicken breasts and I will let them rest. In that time that the chicken breast is resting, that 160 degrees Fahrenheit will actually carry over into 165 degrees, and that is called carryover cooking. 165 degrees Fahrenheit is a safe temperature to cook your chicken, as any lower could produce a salmonella risk of food poisoning. And trust me when I say you definitely don't want that. And once we're done, we're going to use this pan for later, so set it off to the side. Now we will get started on our pasta. Salt your water to the point where it's just slightly saltier than what you'd expect ocean water to be. I'm going to cook the noodles to the point where they're al dente or have a little bit of bite to them. I'm going to stir occasionally to make sure these noodles don't stick to the bottom or to themselves. Before these noodles stop cooking, I'm actually going to steal some of the water, as this will help bind our pasta noodles and our sauce together at a later point. Remove from the heat and drain. Time to get started on our sauce. This is where our chicken pan comes into play. When we seared our chicken, some of it stuck to the bottom of our pan, and this is flavor you're not going to want to waste. So I'm going to deglaze the bottom of the pan with a few tablespoons of butter, and then I'll add in my garlic to saute. I'll let the garlic saute for a few minutes, and then I'll add the Sambuca. Now for this next part, I'm going to flambe, and if you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. Remember to keep a lid at the ready in case your fire gets out of control, because it's about to get lit. The lid will smother the flame. You can always boil off the alcohol. Flambeing is mainly for show. The alcohol causes a quick momentary fire that will extinguish itself once the alcohol is burned up. Once the fire is extinguished, we will add in our cream, which is 300 milliliters. I use 10%, but you can use full whipping cream if you'd like. And we're going to add about 100 milliliters at a time. I'll slowly add in the rest of the cream as the sauce thickens. I did it in thirds, so about 100 milliliters at a time. I'll add in about a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese. Then I'll let it simmer for a few minutes, and then after that I will add in my fresh oregano. And then I'll let it simmer some more up until it reaches this consistency, and then after that I should be ready to add in my bacon and my chicken. I know I said I put the chicken on top, but I changed my mind and I decided to dice it and throw it in with the rest of the pasta. But believe me, this is almost better because it's going to be coated in this lovely Sambuca sauce. Then I'll get an absolutely beautiful coating on this chicken and bacon, and then after that I'll throw in my noodles spoonful after spoonful. Now this is why I mentioned cooking the noodles to al dente consistency, because this is where we're going to finish the noodles. We're going to cook it in the sauce up until the rest of the way till they're done. As you can see, the amount of pasta is completely overwhelming my pan, so I suggest instead of using a full packet of pasta like I did, use about half. And the reason why I used a full packet is because I really like leftovers. This is where that starch water comes in from the pasta, as the starch inside the water helps bind the sauce to our pasta noodles. Once your pasta reaches this consistency, you can pretty much put it away, salt and pepper to season, and then you're ready for an absolutely delicious meal.
And there we have it, finally done. Took forever because, well, you know, it's a little hard when you're cooking one thing at a time. Anyways, I'm sorry for the lighting for this video. It's because it's cloudy as hell, and you know, I need as much natural light as I can get. But anyways, that does not excuse how great this is gonna be. Here is the first taste. Oh, a little hot, but man, it's so good. And you know what? I'm not a big fan of Sambuca, but it really adds something to this pasta. Just one shot is all you need. Any more and it'll be a little too much Sambuca taste, but this is just perfect. Yeah! Woo! That's good. Anyways, I'll see you on the next episode. Oh, one more thing. By the way, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment on this video, and please show this video to all your friends, your relatives, which includes your uncle, your aunt, your first cousin, and even your third cousins, even though you don't talk to them that much. Anyways, I'll see you next week.